Pauline and Ronrico. Thank you for joining me today. I'm looking forward to chit-chatting with you guys about your Le Fashion Lab journey, what you were thinking about before you joined Le Fashion Lab, and how you feel now that you are official graduates, having completed your capsule collection and everything. I'm excited to talk with you today and also excited to share your experience with others. You know, it's always a big decision to decide if you're really going to take the plunge to learn these skills. So I think it's always helpful for people to find out what your experience was like so they can decide for themselves. So thank you for talking with me today. All right, so how we're going to do it is let's talk a little bit first about what you were thinking about and your mindset before you joined Le Fashion Lab. What was going on in your mind and what made you ultimately decide that this is something that you wanted to pursue? So with this, I'm going to ask Pauline first, and then Ronrico, you'll follow, and with everything else, you guys just jump in when you feel like, okay?
Okay.
All right, Pauline, so what was going on for you? What were some of the fears, frustrations that you might have had before coming to the Fashion Lab?
Before I came, I was full-time working with my family. And it was causing me a lot of stress, and I really just needed to jump in to something that I really cared about and something that would be fulfilling for me. The business that we were running it's interesting building a business, but it wasn't fulfilling to me. So it was definitely scary because it's a big financial commitment and big time commitment, but I mean, definitely so worth it. Everything that was on the website about who's an ideal candidate fit me exactly. So I knew that it was going to be a good match, and it was.
Good. Ronrico, how about you?
For me, my biggest frustrations was pretty much I was going to online school for fashion design prior to coming to your school. And for me, it was just really slow. Like, thank God I already had my associate's degree, so I didn't have to do all my, prerequisites. But even when I started my online school, like for my bachelor's, I still, it was a whole year before I was in school, before I even took my first sewing class. So I was just pretty much when I found that the information from the school, I was pretty nervous just to start, like from day one. Like you all said, from day one you're going to be sewing and all that stuff. So I was pretty nervous about that because I was just used to the slow start of sewing that I had from my online school. And it was pretty frustrating going to school online. Like if I had any questions, I had to set up times with my teachers, and they were trying to show me stuff online, and it wasn't really conducive to my learning habits. So that's what really interested me in the school, to have that one-on-one, actual in-person teaching in that teaching environment. So
got it. So with your online school, how is that, or how was that set up? Would they send like pre-recorded videos and assignments, or did you meet live with your instructor?
no, it was all pre-recorded. Only the time we would meet live is if we had any questions or we had anything that we needed help on, and we had to schedule a time to do that. But everything was pre-recorded. It was a lot of videos. It was a lot of reading and book work, and it was very tedious, and it was kind of difficult, like the way we were being taught. So
it sounds like one step above YouTube.
Oh yeah, pretty much like a paid YouTube like subscription and something like that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
The only reason I mentioned that, and you're going to find throughout our talk, I'm going to try not to talk as much because it's mainly about you. But the only reason I mentioned that is because we do have an online program, but the instructor meets with you live every single day and every single class session. I think that makes a big difference. And I always tell students, we're not going to send you a bunch of pre-recorded stuff and then say, hey, all right, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Call us if you need us. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that out. That sounds very frustrating. And I remember that about you and your background before you started with us. So you guys tell me about what dreams and desires did you have? Whoever wants to start first.
Pauline.
I mean, I think the thing I was most excited about was making clothes for myself. I mean, from when I decided that I needed to do something besides my current job, and when I started with the Fashion Lab was probably a matter of 2 months. So it was just kind of a big, quick decision. And because the school year was starting in August, I just had to make the decision and go. So I didn't have a lot of time to think about the future, but I knew that if I followed something that I was actually really interested in, only good could come from it. So, and I'm really excited to continue to let my creativity come out and see where it goes from there. I do think I want to have my own business or some kind of my own line in some way, but I just don't know what that's going to look like yet.
Right.
But
I remember you said too, when I was re-listening to your interview before you started with us, that your degree from Georgia Tech is in biochemistry, and that your family always angled away from the creative industries. It wasn't really an option for you guys. So
yeah, it's not that they discourage us actively from it, but it was just, I was not ever exposed to a lot of art, or there was not a lot of importance placed on that. And my dad he has an accounting background, he's very interested in business. And I was always really good at math and science in school, so I just thought, since I'm good at that, that's what I need to pursue. But really, what I ended up liking more as I got older was the more creative side. And I should have known when I was at Georgia Tech, just doodling on my pages instead of listening to chemistry class. But
okay. Ronrico, how about you? What were your dreams and desires before you started with us?
My dreams and desires were to be a better designer. Like, I was self-taught, and I mainly dealt with stretch fabric. So I was pretty one-dimensional with stretch fabric. So I wanted to become a better designer, to be able to make my own patterns, be able to sew non-stretch fabric, because most of the clothes these days are non-stretch for the most part. So I just wanted to have more versatility to bring more clientele and just more expertise to my craft. So that was pretty much my goal, was just to become a better designer overall.
Got it. And I also know that before you started with us, I think you told me you had about 2 or 3 associate's degrees. You were in the middle of doing your bachelor's degree. So why did you feel like you needed to add fashion skills to that?
I had got my associate degrees in business. So, it was definitely I was always book smart, and I was always able to comprehend the work. But like Pauline, it's just like I felt like I was just doing kind of what everybody else was doing, and it wasn't really my passion. But I was able to put that knowledge into my business as well, as far as starting my own business and marketing and all of that stuff. Um, but one day I just realized it just wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And I really was into fashion, and I really was into making clothes. So that's why I changed my whole degree. I was going for my bachelor's in business administration, and I switched it. I woke up one morning and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I switched it to fashion design. And like I said, the online course for me wasn't the best. So that's why I wanted to go to actual in-person school, because I feel like, it was better for my style of learning.
Understood.
So
Okay.
yeah, but I am able to do both, like doing the business as well as my fashion, for me
Yeah,
being
it's still an
entrepreneur. So
asset. So all that information wasn't wasted at the end of the day. Yeah.
correct.
So we'll just go Pauline Ronrico, since that seems to be flowing. But when you decided that you wanted to do fashion design, why did you decide on Le Fashion Lab?
I am so impatient. And like Rico's stories of waiting a whole year before you even start taking your first sewing class, they would lose me so quickly. And I just loved at the description of the courses, all of the things that we were going to learn and how we were going to jump right in, how, you know, you added practical things that you would need in the industry from real life and took out all the fluff. That was just super appealing to me, and financially much more reasonable. It just, another school, you know, SCAD or something, just wouldn't have been possible for me at all. So, and this was kind of on the maximum end of what would be possible for me, and but I knew because of what all we would learn that it would be really worth it.
Got it.
And yeah, we just jumped right in on day one, and that held my attention so well.
That's good. Sometimes some of our students are so nervous because they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, are we really like sewing? Sometimes they actually tremble. But you know, in no time at all, we just work with everybody. But anyway, it's not about me. Back to you guys. So Ronrico, how about you? Why did you decide on Le Fashion Lab?
Because I didn't mention it, but I was in the military for 14 years, so all my degrees and everything was online, so I finally got out of the military and I actually wanted to go to an in-person school. Like I wanted to just see how it felt to go to actual school online. I mean, in person and not online. So when I was doing my research, there wasn't too many options and SCAD was one of the options. And I did my research with them, and even with my military benefits and the GI Bill and stuff like that, I still would have had to take out money to go to the school. And then when y'all were mentioning about the fluff, like with me getting my degrees, I knew exactly what fluff you were talking about because I had to experience it for myself, all the fluff before you actually get to your degree related classes. So, and I spent so much time in college, I just didn't want to do another 4 years in college. So when I saw there was a 1-year program and you actually put out all the stuff that we would learn in that year, it really appealed to me. Because I know if I would have went to any other regular college, it would have been another 2, 3, 4 years before I got, to complete the program. So just the time frame, I'm very impatient. I love to learn. I'm a quick learner, and taking 4 years to learn something like that wouldn't have kept my interest either. So I liked it mainly because of the time frame of the program.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And my next question for you guys is, did you have any sewing experience before you started Le Fashion Lab? Pauline, we'll go with you first.
Not really. I mean, when I learned to use a sewing machine in middle school and then didn't use it for the rest of until I was a full-grown adult. I was probably like 25 when I started picking it up again. And that was just, kind of halfway trying to learn from YouTube but never really committing because I was so impatient that I wanted to go ahead and get to the end before I take all the steps all the way through. And it's hard to organize yourself and teach little by little. And so I just never did. So I knew how to use a machine, but that's about where it ended.
Got it. Got it. How about you, Rico?
I had sewing experience. It was like I said, it was mainly stretch fabric. But I didn't know anything else. Just pretty much stretch fabric. So I had a little bit, but it wasn't like to the knowledge, that I knew I would get from the school. So.
Got it. Got it. And this is like a quick question. With the right effort, do you think that someone who has never sewn before can still succeed at Le Fashion Lab?
100%.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we spoke a little bit about you guys and your mindset before you started Le Fashion Lab. What were the thoughts that motivated you to join us? So now let's talk a little bit more about when you were in the program and how you felt. So first question, did you face any frustrations or challenges, Pauline?
I think probably for me, the biggest challenge just came from balancing work and school. I was working Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then school Tuesday, Thursday. And I have a lot of responsibility with our business, so just switching back and forth was pretty difficult. So that was probably the biggest challenge. My frustrations definitely came from the same traits that I was talking about before, where I just want it to be perfect already without going through the learning process. So I would get frustrated when I couldn't do it perfectly right away, but that was minor, you know, and I got to a place that I was happy with pretty quickly. So, and obviously I need to keep growing and growing, but yeah, that was about it.
That's it. Okay. How about you, Rico?
For me, the biggest challenge was time management, and that's just personal because I'm just bad with my time management, and it's like you always know, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and before you know, 4 days pass and you're back in school, and so that was my biggest challenge. But I did learn, just to balance, like Pauline said, just work and school life. And I didn't really have any frustrations. My only frustration was just learning patience. Um, the
Yeah.
assignments and stuff, they were definitely understandable. So it's not like the schoolwork was actually frustrating, just me as an impatient person. Um, it was just frustrating to like just go through the process. I was already wanting it to be done, but over the time, I've learned to just grow through that frustration and just actually enjoy the process of designing and creating and stuff. So I really didn't have any frustrations with the school, no, not at all.
Got it. Don't just say that because I'm here, I need
Oh,
to.
no, 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 trust me.
Okay. All right. How much time would you say you spent practicing per week?
Hours wise, I don't know that it would take me a minute to put a number on it, but I don't think I did too much outside of just the assignments that we had. That took up all the time that I really had. But I really liked the classes where we would make one in class and then have another one for homework, because that's what really set it in. Because the first time, when Miss Marva's telling you fold this here and then cut this and then stitch this around the corner, and you're like, okay, and then you do it, but it doesn't sink in until you do it again. And doing it again so quickly right afterwards really made everything stick for me.
Good. Okay. Rico?
Yeah, for me, probably about anywhere between 5 to 10, because a lot of times it was very time consuming, outside of the classroom. So I would say probably per week, probably about between 5 to 10 hours, anywhere between there, just depend on the assignment. If I had any makeup work, if I was behind on anything else. But also sometimes I was also making things like practicing, like whatever we learned, I would like make like more outside of it. So it just depends. Sometimes it would be 10 hours, sometimes maybe 8, sometimes maybe 5, but I definitely did put in hours per week, just practicing sewing and homework. So
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, what would you say are some of your favorite subjects or classes?
I think that my favorites were the ones that kind of combined everything that we learned, from the kind of intro to design one that we did at the beginning, where we went to buy fabric and then kind of took it through to the end. And then obviously the collections class at the end, that was definitely my favorite, because we got to combine everything and just really flesh out the whole design process.
Got it. Got it.
my favorite class probably had to be the blazer class. I've always wanted to learn how to make blazers. So to
Was
just
that
get that
advanced
first,
pattern making?
yes, ma'am.
Advanced. Okay. Okay.
So to just have that one-on-one actual like experience, like do this, do that, like to be taught like step by step. And then collections. I think collections, because it was a more relaxed atmosphere. We kind of felt like we were like the seniors of, school. You kind of be like, okay, you kind of start understanding, okay, like now I'm understanding, and we were able to apply the things that we learned. And if we still had any questions or any kind of Miss Marvel would give us any kind of suggestions to make it better or easier, but it was still more um independent, you know what I mean? So I like those two classes the best. Those are my most favorite ones.
Got it. I'm surprised to hear collections and like relaxed in the same sentence.
That's how it felt for us. It really did.
Yeah,
That's
it was more
great.
so independent than anything. So maybe I shouldn't have said relaxed, but it was just more independent. And if we needed any help, Miss Marvel was always there to help us. So that's what I meant.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
for
so
sure.
fun to see things go from just a drawing to a drawing on a computer and then come to life, not just with mine, but with Bianca and Rico's stuff too. It was just really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun for me too. It's really fun for me to see you guys' sketches in the beginning and then it comes to life. I enjoy it so much. It makes me really happy. All right. So we spoke about favorite subjects. Were there any subjects or classes that maybe were particularly frustrating?
I know Rico's answer. um, um, I got frustrated with draping a little bit. I was having a hard time around that time. I think, I mean, with a lot of this, like, especially with me being math and science person, I'm always looking for, you know, what is the process? What is the answer? You know, and when things become a little bit more fluid and I have a little bit more control, I get a little like lost and frustrated. But I think that's something that this whole program has helped me too. Like, you know, going from, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I chose to go into fashion design too, because starting to dress myself the way I wanted to instead of chasing after, you know, what's cool, what is everyone else doing, I started to just wear what I wanted. And I took it from looking to everyone else for the answers to looking to myself. And this really gave me the tools to do that and to see that through completely.
That's very self-aware of you, Pauline, for you to be able to say draping because it's a little more organic than like pattern making. Yeah. I remember when I took draping first time, I was completely lost. I'm like, okay, why am I taking this draping curtains class? I'm not trying to make curtains, but I guess if it's a part of the program, I'll do it. And then when, you know, she started pinning fabric on the mannequin, I'm like, oh, why am I making curtains on this mannequin? I was lost. So yeah, but just to throw in a little bit of my own experience, but that was very self-aware of you. How about you, Rico? What was
Oh my God. Sketching and drawing was my most frustrating class, like, because just being, you know, it's like when you have an idea of what you can and can't do, you kind of go into it with that kind of like negativity or that kind of limited belief. So I tried, you know, teaching myself to draw since I was a little boy, and it just never worked. So I went into the class and the school like, oh Lord, like I don't know how to draw. Even my drawing classes online, they weren't the best. So my most frustrating classes were definitely the drawing and sketching classes, for sure. For sure, for sure.
How did you work through that?
I worked through it by first thinking about my classmates and thinking about myself. You know, I didn't want to give up. And, you know, this is what I decided to, you know, I knew that it was a part of the school. Like I read all the information. So deep down inside, you know, I was just being like, okay, I feel like they really can teach me and give me the tools to actually learn how to draw, you know, at a pretty standard level, you know what I mean? And then to just keep doing it little by little. And, you know, Miss Rushika, Miss Veronica, you know, Pauline, Bianca, they really motivated me as well because they saw how frustrated and how hard it was for me to grasp it. Like Pauline was able to just, from the first day, she was just almost, you know, at an advanced level. And for me, I sitting next to her, you know, it was very frustrating looking at her because I'm comparing mine to hers, but they continued to motivate me, even though I felt like it wasn't the best in the beginning. Like they really helped me and got me through those challenging times. So.
And then it came out so good in the end.
Thank you.
That's what I was going to ask, Rico. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, when you first started, how would you rate your sketching and how would you know?
Oh, I would say my sketching was probably, I know you said 1 to 10, but I'm going to probably have to say probably a -2. It was a -2. It was bad. Like it was bad. But now, I honestly say it's about an 8. And I only don't give it 10 because I really haven't been doing that as much practice as I should, outside of that. But definitely I learned a lot. And for me to say, to think that I would never be able to draw, and then to be able to really be able to convey my ideas and stuff on paper and stuff like that. Like I would say it has definitely went from a 0. I would say, okay, I would give myself a 0. I would say from a 0 to about an 8 now. Definitely.
Okay.
It was amazing. I don't think I could have learned how to draw any other way, honestly.
Got it. Pauline, how about you coming from a science background and having to do these drawing classes? What was that for you?
It was great. I mean, I've always done like little, like going back to middle school, even we always had these big packs of markers and we would make these little signs for each other. So like lettering, and I was always very into my handwriting, so, and like little doodly kind of things I always liked doing. It was just when it came to drawing something realistic that I never could do it. And so, and Miss Rushika presented it in a way that really works for my brain with like, it was very step by step, here's the shape that it starts out at, and then you add the detail and then more detail and more detail, and then it comes out looking realistic. And I guess I also never understood like the concept of illustration, that it's not, sometimes it's an illusion. It's just like one little dot here or a dash there, and it makes it look like an eye, or and she really, really is a great teacher, and I really enjoyed that class.
I agree. She's really good, and she's very caring, sweet. She wants the best. She's like a true teacher at heart. All right, now, so we spoke a bit about the middle section of your journey. I know we're going to transition a bit more to the end. So now that you have completed the program, what would you say you have achieved? What would you say you're most proud of?
I think I'm I don't know about most proud of, but most satisfied with, most excited about the business class, how we went. I mean, how I could take what I already knew about building a business and apply it to fashion design, and how we know the whole process from the beginning, how to initiate an idea and make it into a cohesive collection. I feel really confident in my ability to do that now, and I didn't know anything about that before. And after being exposed to it, I can see it in other things all the time. I can see it in other successful businesses. I'm like, oh, they have a really strong why. Or, you see it in Project Runway. You're watching old episodes and you're like, oh, I can see exactly what the judges are going to say, because, how it doesn't relate to their concept, or, stuff like that. I am really happy about having an insight into the whole design process.
Good. How about you, Ronrico?
I'm most proud of being able to finally get over my plateau. I felt like I was at a plateau for a while, as far as just only being able to make certain things, and that was it. So graduating the school, I definitely felt like I'm able to make more things now. I'm able to make patterns for any body size. I'm able to make clothes fit, have a nice tailored fit to the body and stuff like that. And I really love that you can get an immediate return on your investment. Like, let's say if we learn how to make shirts, for example, like I could make 5 shirts and sell them and get an immediate return on my investment, So I feel like the school was definitely, it was just a good return on investment. I think it was a good investment for anybody who's serious about that. And I was just proud that I actually was brave enough to attend the school and, go through the whole year program. And just to show myself that I can do it. You know what I mean? So that was what I was most proud of.
Good. Did you have any clients? Did you pick up any clients while you were in school? Pauline, I know you made stuff for yourself, and I don't even know if you had that interest, but did you guys pick up any clients while you were there?
I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, I know you made stuff.
I was maxed out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, my clients were waiting for me. You know what I mean? Like I had clients and I always told them like, you know, I wanted to just focus on school, you know, for the meantime, because I knew how much time it was going to take. But I definitely had clients I made, and I showed Pauline, I don't think I showed you, but I made a video on my TikTok. Actually my pageant grandfather, he's about 200 and something pound. He's a pretty heavy set guy, and I made him a blazer and pants, and it was perfect. You know, it fit him. You know,
Really fits perfect.
perfectly. So I mean, I did have a couple of clients in school, but I definitely have a lot of them now outside of school. So
Good.
it definitely has helped me just people see that I'm an actual designer, you know, and, you know, when I charge them, you know, they know that I went to school for it and stuff. So it definitely was a great tool to help me be, you know, the designer that I wanted to be.
Got it. Okay. And along similar lines, but what goals did you specifically accomplish for yourself? When you think about like how you started and where you ended, were there any specific goals that you accomplished for yourself?
I don't think mine were super specific. I did talk a lot about pattern making and being able to just start from just an idea and then bring it all the way through. And I do feel very confident in that. And I'm super picky, in particular about fit. And I feel really good about being able to make a first draft, put it on the person or myself or, you know, the mannequin, and edit the fit and translate that to the pattern. So I feel like even if I don't know exactly how to execute something I want, I know I can get there eventually. You know, it might take a lot of muslin drafts, but I'll get there. And I feel confident about that.
Good. Rico?
And for me, I did have personal goals. My personal goal one was I wanted to be able to have patterns for myself. Like I wanted to be able to make patterns for myself. I never got the opportunity at my online school, you know, and I just really wanted to get better at tailoring, at learning how to make clothes fit more, because a lot of people do come to me with garments that they already have, and they just need it a little bit tapered in or pulled in or hemmed, you know what I mean? So those were some of my personal goals that I wanted to achieve while I was at the school, and I achieved them. So
Got it. And a quick question, this is a very short question, but would you say you're happy with the skills you gained at the Fashion Lab?
Very much.
yes, yeah, definitely.
Good. All right, let's do a little bit of a wrap up. And I have about 3 questions to ask you to reflect on. But is there anything, what do you wish you'd known before you joined the Fashion Lab?
I mean, it's all really well laid out, and you know, you guys give a really good expectation for what's to come. And you know, we had a couple people in our class at the beginning that didn't make it all the way through, and one of them, she didn't seem to be able to handle the pace or the pressure, and that confused me because you guys really laid that out at the beginning. I knew I was going to come into something where I was going to have a lot expected of me, and that's what happened. So the only thing I could say is that I maybe wish that we had the syllabus, all of them, ahead of time or something, and maybe that would have helped. Maybe it wouldn't. I'm just like a more,
You're a planner.
yes, and probably because I'm a more anxious person. And now, like, if I obviously anything that you do the first time, you're going to be a little lost, and then if you did it again, you would be more efficient at it. And that's how I feel. But I think overall, everything was really well explained at the beginning. I knew what we were getting into.
Got it.
And I agree. Like, I don't feel like there was anything that I don't feel like there was anything because I knew everything I was getting into, like Pauline said. So there isn't anything that I wish I would have known before because I knew everything I need, was going to need to know prior to going to school. So I mean, I yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
I really can't answer that because there was really nothing to answer. We pretty much feel the same. Like we already knew what we were getting into prior to coming to school. So.
Got it. Okay. What would you say to any prospects interested in Le Fashion Lab?
I mean, I've said it to a lot of people already. I've said, do it. Just definitely do it. It's so worth it. It's worth the money, really. Like, it's a lot of money, especially, for somebody that's going to have to take out a loan or, that doesn't have this kind of cash laying around. And that's not something you want to spend on just anything. And I think you really get your money's worth. It's a lot of skills that you learn.
Yeah,
And
I think it's for anybody who's serious and really actually wanted to learn fashion. I think it's for somebody who is not trying to look for the college atmosphere, like partying and frat houses and all that stuff. If you really just want to learn and learn quick and get a lot of one-on-one action, it's definitely as good. Like I said, with me being in college, I know how it is when there's 30, 40 people in the class and you're, submitting assignments and you have to reply to other people at least two class. It was very superficial. So if you really want a real atmosphere where you can ask questions and you can really, really have that one-on-one time if you need it. And if you definitely want to learn fashion, I definitely recommend it to anybody.
Got it. Okay. All right. And now that you know what you know, who would you say is an ideal Le Fashion Lab candidate? What traits and desires should this person have?
I mean, I think you can tell just from me and Rico, a lot of our answers are so similar. A lot of our personality traits are really similar, even though we come from very different backgrounds. It's somebody who, I mean, I think the two of us are used to picking up on things pretty quickly. And so we were able to handle the fast pace. And if someone isn't used to that, then they at least need to be ready to work super hard. And I think it's for somebody that's serious, like Rico said. I'm like losing my train of thought here. We're talking about
The ideal
candidate. Yeah, somebody that doesn't want to waste time, that's really excited, that wants to get right into it.
That's it.
And for me, I feel like the ideal candidate is somebody who's self-driven, who's definitely motivated, who has work ethic, who knows how to balance work and school life and personal life, because you definitely will have to learn balance. Um, and somebody who's hungry to learn. I think the number one is you have to have that eagerness and that hunger to really learn because so much will be thrown at you and you will learn so much in such a short amount of time. And if you're not the type that's very studious and very I feel like somebody who's very studious and hungry to learn and who really wants to take their fashion knowledge and to another level.
Got it. Got it. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you think I probably should have asked that you'd like to share or say in closing?
I wouldn't say anything that you didn't ask, but I just feel I just really cannot praise you all enough for the stuff that I've learned. Like the stuff that I learned in 1 year at the school, um, it probably would have took me the whole 4 years and probably even something after that. I'm pretty sure there would have been things that we wouldn't have probably learned, but the program was definitely well worth every penny, and I definitely enjoyed it and I love the friendships and the bonds that I made in the class and in school. So I definitely recommend it to anyone.
I was gonna say that's one of the questions that you had listed in the that email you sent us, that what was an unexpected benefit, and I was gonna say the close friendships that we made. You really do go through a lot together, and it's in close quarters, really like a little family by the end of it. And I mean, we all three just went to a fashion show together recently, and we're gonna try and we're doing a little design challenge between the three of us right now, and we're going to try and be in a fashion show together by the springtime. So definitely helps create connections that will last.
Definitely.
That's so beautiful. You guys know that you hold a special place in our hearts. You know that you didn't see me as much as Marva because she teaches more classes than I do, and you saw Rushika and Veronica a lot more, but I was definitely behind the scenes just helping to keep things together, and I know how special you have become to Marva, and it's really beautiful to see the bond that you guys have created among you three as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you. And I just want to know that as you continue to think about what's next for you and how you want to utilize your skills, just feel free to reach out to me. If it is a text or if we need to set up a call, I'd just love to help you in any way that I can so that you are able to now use these skills to benefit you even more. Thank you for chatting with me today. I've enjoyed it. I love your feedback. Love to hear your thoughts as we continue to always try to improve the program and make it worthwhile for you guys. So thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.